my brother Bruce, who is standing with his back toward me, and fortunately this is one of those times when he fakes being deaf that he can't really hear. Bruce! Okay, see, it works. It works. About 4 years ago, my parents begat a young man in Pennsylvania, which there's some coincidence to that, and brought forth onto this continent this gentleman that's in front of us. And one of the premises they created, other than that other speech that was given in Pennsylvania, that all men are created equal, my brother gives rise and challenge to that notion. And I happen to be one of those people that do not believe that necessarily everybody is created equal. Because as most of you that have known him, and there's a lot of people here who have known him, you know that there are few of us, precious few of us, who are his equal. So I ask all of you who have a glass in your hand to please raise it in toast to my brother Bruce Asper. Happy 80th birthday.
Jeff, how are you? Happy birthday. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
I'm coming in.
Oh, are you okay? Hey, you look so good.
Sadly, this is not very loud. So, could we just have your attention just for maybe, I don't know.
An hour and a half.
An hour and a half, because Rick's going to talk. So, I would, before Rick grabs this away from me, I would love to thank all of you for coming. And there is cake. In fact, there's a lot of cake. I don't know what we're going to do with it. But anyway, there's cake, and we are going, and some people want to say some things about Bruce. But I just want to say thank you so much for coming. There's some people that have come a long way. A long way.
How far, Sandy?
From Corona, we are going to sing happy birthday. I know he does. I know he does, and I'm going to give it to him right now.
No, actually, we're going to do it in the following order. We're going to start with the siblings of the and progeny of my brother.
That's because Rick thinks I can't follow him, which is not true.
Well, you'll all be the judge of that in just a minute.
Is this going to be her talking or you two?
Okay, so first of all, I just want to reiterate what my mom said and thank all of you for coming. It is so nice that you're all here to celebrate my dad's birthday. And some of you have come from very far away.
How far, Laura?
Florida, for one.
Oh, really? Wow.
Washington State, Colorado. Oh, what am I missing? There are others. Like Bakersfield, Pomona. So we're happy to have you all here. Thank you for making the effort. Okay, I just want to say a few things about my dad. I know all of you know him very well, but you may not know the kind of dad he was. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the values that he has instilled in us. The first value is accountability and responsibility. So I'm going to tell a little story that just shows you what my dad was like growing up with him. I go off to college, I have my education paid for, and I come home from Christmas, and I make a few phone calls to my friends. I go back to school after the holidays. About 2 weeks later, in the mail, in snail mail, I get a phone bill with all of my phone calls highlighted over the holidays and the total that I owe him. And he writes a little note that says, "Money doesn't grow on trees, send a check." He actually drew a little picture of a tree also. The next value I want to talk about, or actually the next trait about my dad, he was definitely our most vocal cheerleader. My brother wouldn't let him go to his tennis matches or games, but he came to all of mine. And he and Carol Kruger, who is also here, where is usually came very close to getting kicked out of our matches. So if my dad thought that the ref made a bad call, which happened a lot, he would yell things like, "Have you gotten your eyes checked recently?" I mean, so loud that I was on the court and I could hear him, and I was like cowering. And during one timeout, my coach said to me, "Your dad needs to stop." And he actually got a red card and got kicked out of one of my matches. But he was our most vocal cheerleader. And he was a cheerleader in college. The other thing I want to talk about is his work ethic. So many of you have worked with him over the years. He works long hours. He worked really hard. In fact, my freshman year in high school, he was gone for most of the year in Rochester working. And when he would get home, he would immediately cook dinner because, as you may know, my mom doesn't cook. So my dad worked hard both outside and inside the home. He also liked to talk about what I will say is the sweat quotient. So he based his like and dislike of my friends in high school and college, for that matter, based on how much they sweat when they work out or play volleyball. And thankfully, two of my friends are here, Tracy and Kirsten, and they sweat a lot, so he liked them a lot. Tracy would oftentimes be wringing out her t-shirt, and after the match, my dad would say, "I love Tracy, I love Kirsten, they work so hard, they sweat so much." So it's all based on how much they sweat, which I love. He didn't like the people that didn't sweat, and he never got over that, never got over it. The other trait I'd like to talk about is he is fiercely loyal. When I was thinking about what I was going to say tonight, I had this memory of all of us going to the movie theater as a family. Actually, I don't know if Bruce was there or not. I can't remember. But we were at the movies, and in my typical mom fashion, she yelled at someone who had parked and handicapped and who got out of their car and was completely capable of walking and, everything. So this guy was in, I think, a BMW convertible, and he got out of his car and started going into the theater, and my mom started yelling at him. And the guy turned around, and I know there are kids in the room, but he said, "You Newport Beach bitch," and like made some gesture at her. And I looked at my dad, and my dad literally turned bright red and started running after this guy who was like in his 20s. And he pushed him, and they almost got in a fist fight. And I was standing there thinking, "Oh my gosh, what are we going to do? There's like a fight's going to break out, and he's going to go to jail. I don't know what's going to happen." But he handled the situation, and I think the guy moved his car. I don't know. One more story I want to tell about my dad. After college, I had back surgery, and we were in the hospital in Daly City, and which is, for any of you who have been there, it's not a very nice area. But my mom and I were really sick of the hospital food, and my dad hates hospitals. He hates blood. He hates everything. Like, he cannot be in the hospital. If any of us are sick or hurt or anything, it's always my mom that's dealing with it. So he says, "I will go get you guys some food." And my mom and I are like, "Yes, great, go get us some food." So he's gone for literally, I think, 2 hours. And we were looking at each other, we're like, "God, we're starving. Where is Dad? Why isn't he back with the food?" And so then he comes in, and his hair is disheveled, he's pale, he's like sweating, he looks completely panicked, and he walks in, and my mom and I are like, "What? Where have you been?" And he said, "I got jumped in a parking lot by gangsters." And I was so distressed that I couldn't even go get you guys any food. I wanted to come back and be with you because I was so distressed. And so my mom and I just looked at each other and shook our heads and thought, "Oh, that's so typical." Anyway, just a few stories that tell you a little bit about my dad. He's been a very supportive father. I feel very fortunate to have him as my dad growing up, and he continues to be very supportive. and I wouldn't want anyone else as my dad. So happy 80th.
Before I introduce the eldest child of Bruce and Sandy, and most especially Bruce.
Bruce Sr.'s namesake. And first, I guess I want to say my dad had me much later in life. I don't know how I could be a 35-year-old man and be the son of an 80-year-old. But congratulations, Dad, on reaching 80. We're going to have tonight be my dad's coming out party that is secretly a Republican. Because by this time, we thought Mom was going to be so senile that she wouldn't care. But unfortunately, she's still fairly sharp and has spent most of the night on Snapchat. There's a lot of talk about heroes and who's a hero, who's not a hero, and that doesn't really matter to me. But I will say what does matter is someone that goes to work every day, works hard his whole life, raises his kids, owns a house, does the stuff that my dad did every Sunday at church. He's had every job at that church for the last 40 years or whatever it's been. Someone that does that is really a hero. And the story of Bruce Sr. started in Beaver Falls. So this is going to be a while, Rick. That's a long time ago. And by the way, Rick, happy 70th.
Lies! Deceit, lies!
Started in Beaver Falls, and my dad's one of the last generation to grow up in a one-room schoolhouse. And really, I guess that's kind of the theme, is my dad's a collaborator. He's always been able to bring people together. And from Pomona, where he worked his way and earned money to send himself to UCLA, to getting his master's in history, to almost getting his doctorate in history, and then going into business so he could afford the house in Newport for all of us to grow up in. It's all been a tale. I mean, to be, I think Sandy and Bruce being half a socialist and living on the point, you gotta think that it's a joke, and it's been a joke. I mean, he's the only Bruin down there, and he came out to tell him to stop, and I'm sure Dad gets a little pouty, if you guys don't know, a little angry, so he probably came out with a little bit of attitude, with two Hells Angels setting off M80s, and he got beat up. I mean, badly. And I came out crying and scared. I mean, I was 4 or 5 years old, and he looked up to me and tried to smile and said, "I'm fine, Brucey, don't worry about it, I'm fine." And that's really the image of my dad, is he wants everyone to be okay. No matter what's happening to him, he wants everyone to be okay. Don't go to the hospital and bleed if he's there. Because he doesn't care about you at that point. He just wants out of the room. And he'll concoct some 2-hour kidnapping story to get out of it. And the second one was, I remember in Indian Guides, we were playing football, and we were out in the field somewhere, we didn't know where we were, and my dad caught a pass and dove into some bushes, and there was barbed wire. And he cut himself all over, same thing. I'm okay, smiling, I'm okay. And that's really what it's about with him. He's always brought everyone together in his life. He's always provided comfort to the people in his life. And he's been a great dad to Laura, Gabby, and I, our whole lives, and I'm very proud of you, and I love you, Dad.
A couple of years ago, I had the occasion to come to Newport Beach for a client meeting. And during that client meeting with some people from the Irvine Company, somebody said, "Your name is Asper. Are you in any way related to Bruce Asper?" I said, "He's my older brother." I probably said much older brother. But that person from the Irvine Company then waxed poetic about a lot of things that they knew about my brother. And they were all true. They were all very complimentary, kind of wonderful, sweet, genuine things, because that's the kind of guy my brother is. Unfortunately, that was not the capstone story, because toward the end of that meeting, the client put his hand on my shoulder and said, "Please give your brother my best." And by the way, were you adopted? Brother, like your son and like your daughter, I love you. You are an amazing man, and you're an inspiration to all of your family, and I'm sure to most of your friends. Thank you.
Since I was 15 and was lucky enough to have them adopt me, to bring me into this amazing group of people that I'm lucky enough to call my family. Dad and Mom, I don't know where I would be without you guys. I'm going to try to get through this without crying. I'm saying a million times. Oh, I do? Sorry. Oh, yeah. Is that better? Okay. Woo! So, this isn't just about Dad, although it is your birthday and I love you too. I can't swear because there are a lot of children here. To hell and back. It's also a testament to my parents and their union and the fact that they have been best friends for 70 years and lovers and parents and pillars of our community. Mom, teacher, Dad, teacher as well, and business. I'm so proud to call you guys my parents. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to have you guys all this time, and a couple funny stories about Dad. So I've been lucky enough to work with him a couple times in my career, and he's always been the person that comes in if it's a little windy outside with his hair kind of akimbo, and made everybody in the room laugh. And he's always been the person that we could turn to when we just needed to talk about our lives and what's getting us down. He is the most amazing cheerleader. Mom is always there too. Call her at like 2 o'clock in the morning and talk to her about what's going on. Your support and your love and your undying devotion is just something that I hope to be someday. I love you guys.
On behalf of the entire Asper family,